I need my husband to agree to move into another city because I have feelings for brother-in-law. My female 39 husband, male 50 of 11 years, and his sister, female 41, are very close. We met her and her husband, brother-in-law, male 40, all the time. Sunday dinner is always with them at ours or their place. Occasionally, other family members join us from my or my husband's side of the family, but the constant is us four, and sister-in-law's 3 children. I get along very well with sister-in-law and brother-in-law. We never had issues. I started having feelings for brother-in-law about 5 years ago. I know people here would call it an emotional affair, but it wasn't. Yet, I kept it very secret and nobody noticed. I love my husband very much and I don't want to ruin our beautiful marriage. We are awesome together and our bond is strong. My feelings for brother-in-law were very confusing at first, and I went years without realising what they were because I love my husband. So how can I love another? When brother-in-law turned 40, they had a big party and I stayed after to clean because sister-in-law had to take care of the children. So it was me and brother-in-law cleaning. He was still a bit tipsy and he told me that he's been in love with me since I married my husband. I was shocked. He has always been nice to me and complimented me, but I never felt anything more. I tried to ignore him, so he said it again. I told him to go to bed. He tried to argue, but I insisted that he went to bed and let me clean by myself. He probably knows that I love him too because of something he said. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we stopped pretending and just told them we only live once? How did he know? I cried for weeks afterwards, and when my husband saw that I was sad, he was very concerned and was so nice to me, and it made me cry even more. The guilt is physically painful. I have developed ulcers. This happened last summer, and ever since I've tried to avoid seeing sister-in-law and brother-in-law. With how frequent we met before, there was never one good excuse. Soon my husband was irritated with me, accusing me of not liking his family. Sister-in-law called a few times to wonder. Now she has started saying that I wanted to come between her and her brother because I never liked their closeness. I go to the dinners and ignore brother-in-law altogether, and sister-in-law is mad that it feels like I hate her, when I actually love her like a sister. My husband got a new job offer, a city that's 20 hours away. I want him to take it, but it's in a very small town and he is surprised that I, a renowned city girl, want to move to a small town. I don't know what to do. I want my husband to take this job, but I don't know how to convince him. Brother-in-law texted me, begging me not to do it. And he promised not to bother me again, but just not to move away. It doesn't sit well with me. As long as it was one-sided, it felt less serious. But now it feels like an emotional affair, and I don't want to be in it. What can I do? Now my sister-in-law and brother-in-law are separating. My husband is hesitant about taking a new job in the new city. I was here a week ago. I honestly didn't expect to be so judged and hated. I read my post over and over again, trying to understand where there could have been any misunderstandings about me being interested in acting on my feelings. There was none, so I guess people just wanted to judge, which is sad, because I have seen how people can be supportive in here. Anyhow, I stumbled upon a few kind souls that didn't treat me like disgusting human garbage. So I'm here again with an update, because my life just got more complicated, and I'm so desperate. Those who read my first post know that I haven't talked to anybody about this. I want to stress the point that I have never once contemplated acting on my feelings towards brother-in-law, not even when he confessed that he had feelings for me. On the contrary, when he told me that he was in love with me, I was more adamant to do everything in my power to forget him. I have never spoken or looked his way since that confession, and I'm not planning to ever speak to him again either. After my post, I had a talk again to my husband about the job in the little town. I told him that I wanted the new adventure, especially when it came with a 25% increase in his salary and a higher up position. My husband has been complaining about how he isn't advancing in his career in our city. I told him that this could be the step he needed. I'm a nurse and I could easily find jobs anywhere we went because we have a shortage in healthcare staff everywhere. The idea started to grow on him. He was skeptical because of the distance to our families, but he was intrigued. He booked a job interview that is supposed to happen on Wednesday. If he took the job, we would be relocating around New Year. I was so hopeful that I could finally breathe. Today is Sunday and it was per usual, the day we meet up with family for dinner. This didn't happen this week, however, and I'm spending this Sunday alone. My husband is staying with sister-in-law because earlier this week, brother-in-law broke the news to her that he wanted a divorce. Sister-in-law is beside herself with shock, and my husband is there to try and mediate between her and her husband. Brother-in-law is refusing to talk to any of them and has only been there twice to see the kids. My husband told me now that he couldn't take this job because he needed to stay here and support his sister. I understand where he's coming from, but for me, all the horror and anxiety is back. What can I do? I feel trapped, like the walls are closing in around me. I can't tell my husband my true reasons. I have tried so many times, but I just can't do it. I love him so much and I know him very well. He will be hurt and devastated. We have had issues throughout our marriage with him not being able to perform due to health problems, and we haven't had sex in over 8 years. He is so self-conscious about it. I just can't hurt him about something like this. I think my options now are to stay put and support my husband and sister-in-law. If they, brother-in-law and sister-in-law, can save their marriage in any way, then maybe my husband can find a new job opportunity in another city in the future and agree to move. If they divorce, then I won't be seeing brother-in-law anymore. I'm leaving my husband and I know that I'm being a horrible, selfish person for it. I don't know how I feel about this. It is probably too early for me to do this horrible thing when my sister-in-law just got separated, but I don't see any improvement in the horizon. When my husband told me he was not taking the job up north because of sister-in-law's marital problems, I understood that and was supportive. We have always been close to my sister-in-law and my husband loves his sister and her children. I always admired their bond because I was never this close to my family. He stopped spending weekends with me and instead staying with sister-in-law and the children. And even several days a week when he doesn't even text me after work that he was spending the evening with the children. I didn't mind it because this is all new and sister-in-law isn't coping well after the separation. I told my husband that I missed him though, and that I wanted to be with him and maybe I should tag along some days. He said that I was being selfish for wanting the attention now. His sister needed the support, I should be more understanding. She and brother-in-law have been together since they were very young and she wasn't adjusting well with these new changes. I felt horrible and so selfish. I thought that I should be supportive. Every Christmas on Boxing Day, my husband and I travel to somewhere warm and spend 2 to 3 weeks. It has been our tradition since we met. We booked this trip months early, April. Yesterday when I was talking about our trip, my husband was so surprised. He said that he was actually astonished that I thought that we would just go on with our plans when sister-in-law's life is turned upside down. I told him that this was our thing and that his sister has her own family. I wanted my family, him. I told him that I fully understand that she needs his support, but that I've been very lonely lately. He told me to drop the subject. Today I chatted with the travel agency to see if I could add my sister-in-law and her children. I thought that maybe it would be a good change of climate. Well, they would have to take a separate flight, but other than that, it was possible even with such short notice to add them. So I called my husband to tell him the news. He was very excited. When he came home later, he told me that his sister didn't agree, however. So, we are staying. I asked him why, and he said she didn't want to be around happy couples right now. It was all I could do to hold back my tears. When my husband got that job offer in the small town up north, I started browsing job opportunities and I sent my CV around. One hospital answered me a week ago. I think I want to take the job. After what happened today, I just logged in and made an appointment for a job interview. I know that my sister-in-law is hurting and my husband is admirable for being there for her. This is all just so new for everyone and a big life change for sister-in-law and her children. But I feel like I'm number 2 in my own life. I feel neglected and like I have the supporting role in my own movie. I'm leaving my husband. I'm taking the new job and I will go with the plans and move to that small town and get away from everything and everyone. I think I need this new start. Judge me all you want. I know you will. Edit for update. I love my husband. I will probably never love anyone like I love him. But yes, I have been very unhappy for a long time. As I said, I always admired my husband for the love he has for his sister. He basically raised her because their parents were having issues, and she was left for him to raise when he was a child himself. His warmth and compassion is what made me fall for him. But does it make sense that it is also what's making me miserable? I have always known I'm his second, but I have always thought that this will change with time. First, I thought because I'm not a family, and after I became his wife, I thought because we don't have children. When sister-in-law started having children, I felt that I was pushed down the ladder of my husband's priorities. I have told him this before, and he just told me I was being ridiculous, competing with children. I remember telling him that it wasn't just that. We should be each other's priorities because even if his sister loves him, he is not her priority and never will be because she has a family now. We never agreed on this matter. I felt like there was some truth in what he said too. I was competing with children and his sister. Besides, I thought he would be there when I needed him, except he wasn't. My mental health has been declining this year, but he wasn't as warm and compassionate as I always known him to be. The very things that made me so much in love with him. And these past months since brother-in-law confessed his feelings, my husband never once tried to listen to me. Never once did he try to understand why I didn't want to join them for the usual Sunday dinner, and never once told me he was staying with me instead, since I obviously didn't want to go. On the contrary, it became something he was bothered about, even with my body physically reacting to my mental state. I have developed ulcers and lost crazy amounts of weight and hair. I guess him cancelling the Christmas trip was just the straw. I love him, but I can't anymore. I have spoken to him today before he went to his sister's. I told him that he has known for months now that I'm unhappy and that I wanted to leave this city. I told him that I couldn't do it anymore, and I apologise that I chose this very inconvenient time when his sister is suffering, but that I couldn't do it anymore. He looked at me and was silent, and the disappointment in his eyes just broke me. He said that he couldn't believe that I have no compassion whatsoever when a family member is suffering, and yet I still want to go about my life as usual. Would the world end if we skipped our tradition once, when he is needed somewhere else? I started crying because I couldn't reach out to him, and yes, if simplified, he is in the right. This looks like me sulking about a trip. I told him that I couldn't do this anymore. We are talking past each other and none of us wants to understand the other. He left. He texted me now that he never thought me to be selfish and that I should do what I see fit. He will not stand in my way. I don't know if he will be coming back. Well, that's the story today, and I think OP's situation is pretty complicated. I do think that, yes, they probably could just skip this one holiday, be with sister-in-law. For anyone who's in America, Boxing Day is the day after Christmas in the UK. Her sister-in-law is obviously not taking this breakup very well, so maybe she just wants to be around family over the Christmas period, because it's hard for anyone who's lost someone or separated. It's a big change, so I don't think it's unreasonable to skip one holiday. I also feel like maybe the sister-in-law knows that her husband broke up with her because he's in love with her. It's a bit strange that her husband is just going around there. She's asked to go and he's not allowing her, or doesn't want her to go around there. I'm not sure. And that first story, what is that all about? She says that she's loved this guy, her brother-in-law, for the past 5 years, but it's okay because it's just a fault. She just kept it to herself. But then her brother-in-law actually says it to her, and he's the bad guy, apparently. I feel like there's more to that story there, because he said it as if she knew. She must have been flirting pretty hard with him. I'm sure there's going to be more updates. This person has updated all of this within the past month, so it kind of spiraled pretty quickly, from her husband wanting to get a new job to her brother-in-law telling her how much he loves her, to them separating, and now she's separating. I mean, maybe they should get together, the brother-in-law and her. Sounds like they've been in love with each other for a while, and she's clearly not happy with her husband at the moment. They haven't been intimate for 8 years. I will leave the OP's profile down below so that if she does have an update, then you can click to see if there's an update. Her last video was put on 6 days ago, so it is fairly recent. I'm sure there will be another update in the future. But anyway, if you did like this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel, and hopefully you'll come back and join me in the next one.